DreamHack Open is brought to you by Astro, Monster Energy, Corsair, Hacks, and GGBet.
Canada is a North American country stretching from the U.S. in the south to the Arctic Circle in the north. Major cities include massive Toronto, West Coast Film Center Vancouver, French-speaking Montreal and Quebec, and the capital city of Ottawa. Canada's vast swaths of wilderness include lake-filled Banff National Park in the Rocky Mountains. It's also home to Niagara Falls, as well as the DreamHack Open. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we're here for the 2018 DreamHack Open Montreal, and we've seen a fair bit of Counter-Strike today, but still just about a little bit more to go. I believe this would be considered the halfway point, and in the meantime, I want to thank the people that make this possible, in Astro, Corsair, Monster Energy, and Hacks, making all of Tommy's dreams come true.
All of them. Every single one of them.
Boom, nailed it. So, we do have another match on our hands, but perhaps we jump right into it. Heroic Luminosity, one that's sure to pack a little bit more bite than perhaps the last two.
Well, I'm certainly not a biased observer here, so, you know, I'll be happy to share my thoughts.
Okay.
I think Heroic's... No, I'm just kidding.
I see what you did there.
Actually, very curious to see how Luminosity does now that they got the Twins. Obviously, that's a team that we talked about in Austin at one of the previous DreamHacks this year, and like they really plateaued with the previous roster. They got the Twins in. Now there's, you know, some newfound potential, probably, but it's not clear that, you know, they're going to be able to realize all of it. Whereas Heroic is like this weird group of players that haven't really found a home elsewhere, but they've actually looked okay every now. It's like hard to make sense with that team.
It really is. Like, you would expect them with all the roster chaos, you know, obviously losing like Nico and Snappy, not really having a primary opera for a very long time, Croman standing in, changing in-game leader a lot as well. Like, I think Freiburg was doing it, then Esatag, now they picked up Asilian to be the in-game leader. Yet through all of that, they still somehow always find their way in playoffs. Like, they've made it out of the DreamHack Open group stages several times. They even came out into the playoffs, the last EPL finals in surprising fashion. And then at Stockholm, they looked really good. Like, they took FaZe to the brink in an overtime game. They beat out a couple of teams like Fnatic to make the playoffs of that tournament. So, yeah, somehow they just, like, linger around and make playoffs all the time.
Let's talk about lingering, and let's not linger anymore ourselves.
Okay.
Perhaps let's just load up the map videos. Best of ones all day today, 6 of them to be exact. And, well, where this one falls, I think is going to have some pretty good implications as to what to expect in this best of one.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that Mirage is gone from the Luminosity side. I expect Heroic to probably get rid of Inferno at some point here. I think we're going to wind up on Overpass or Train. I think that's kind of a middle ground for both of these
3 trains in a row would be.
It's very possible. I think Overpass is a good likelihood, though, too.
Nope, no Train.
Also rare, by the way. Little surprised that Luminosity, with Henny playing there, is getting rid of Train. But yeah, you know, Overpass, like you said, Heroic got rid of Inferno. So I'll chuck that up as a win for him.
It's pretty fair assessment. Overpass is going to be our map, though. So I guess if we look at Overpass being the map, is there anything that we should probably weigh heavier on one side or the other as a benefit?
Well, I think the one thing that clearly is to Luminosity's advantage is that they actually have a real opera. That's something that, in like, you know, lost in some of the roster shuffles that Heroic have been through, is they don't really have an opera since Yugi left, and it's also a fairly tactical map. So now what I will say is my brother is coaching them, so I think they will be pretty well set in that regard. But he's only going to have so much control. Now, I do think that they're allowing the coaches to speak quite a bit more during the matches here than in most tournaments. But it's still different when you're not actually on the server. If you're not used to calling the whole time, maybe you don't even want to start doing that all of a sudden. Well,
speaking of calling and coaching and this, that, and the other, on the Luminosity side, Zach, boistering behind these guys, and here you see one of the Twins on your screen. This is a team with names that have made a mark in North America, some even further than that, i.e. the Twins and Steel. I expect so much out of this lineup in terms of on paper.
Yeah, you really hope so now. I mean, here's the thing. Like, before Lucas and Henny showed up and they were able to have, like, a pretty good run at Valencia, actually taking second place at that event, they had never made it out of groups in an offline event since they had guys like Yella on this team. That's, like, almost a year's worth of playing, like, several regional, international LAN tournaments and never being able to make it past the group stage. The fact that they finally broke past that barrier at Valencia, I think, is a good milestone for this team. And, yeah, you're bringing in more experienced players. You're bringing in, like, proven talent. Like, Henny has always been a guy who puts up good overall numbers, but he frustrates you with his opping style, kind of like the Draken meme of like being able to hit the hard shots but missing the ones kind of like right in your vision. And I feel like Lucas is actually a pretty underrated player. Like, he was never a star for his teams, but he was always really good at setting up other people by like going in first and creating space for a secondary entry fragger, or at times even playing more supportive roles and like still doing well enough to like serve a purpose on the team. So I think that they should bring a lot to this team, and I'm hoping that this will take him past that plateau that Lurpus was talking about, where they've always been like a middle-of-the-road team in the Americas. Like, they would be good enough to qualify for like an EPL finals or an ECS finals, but they could never do much once they got there. But I think with these roster changes, you would hope they can kind of take a next step forward in the North American scene.
Let's take another step forward, Dust. Let's give it to Tommy for a little bit of a background story on what he thinks of this Heroic lineup. Obviously, there's a lot of history here with Freiburg, and then perhaps there's even some of your blood here bleeding as well. So what's going on with this team?
I mean, we'll see. So Freiburg is obviously the entry fragger. That's his role on the team. That's all he does. Madi is actually the in-game leader who's calling in-game, which is another... It's not so surprising to you, I don't think, or at least he was. Maybe that's been changed.
I think it's a civilian now.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. But, like, he was calling previously, and, like, if you know what he was like as a player in the 1.6 days, I think that's very surprising. Because he was just like the aim star who had nothing else to his game back in the days. Estelion broke through in 2015. He was actually playing with Kirby at the time. He was playing for a Danish team at a Finnish LAN, surprisingly.
Not many of those.
No, not many of those. Meritz got kicked out of North. Then North went on to win the biggest tournament they've ever won. Of course, now, you know, that roller coaster may be coming down.
You always want to know that it's safe when you're getting on and off the roller coaster, at the very least. But that's not something you can assure.
You'd like to know.
Talking about Heroic, I was privy to watching them play in Stockholm. And it's very fun to see Amadi become animate and active and shouting like you would in the old days of Counter-Strike on LAN, at least. I think that they could have played with that as to their strengths there in Stockholm, but they're not going to have that option here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just going to be really important to see how Asilian leads this team, because I feel like they've been playing musical chairs with in-game leadership for a while, as well as just a lineup in general. But I feel like what I saw at Stockholm with Asilian calling was a team that did show some structure. They actually had some like really well done executes with like a lot of utility that was like reminiscent of something that North or some of these other like execute teams do. So I feel like if they can bring some of that out, that's going to really set up some of their more inexperienced players to like know what to do and just be able to like follow that game plan and not have to think too much and just like look to make shots happen.
Making shots happen is something you can do in the Twitch chat by taking note of what is written below. That's !hero or !LG. Now,
literally the only thing I think about when this comes up is like, do you go for the one that's shorter? Is that likelier to get more spam? Or is it the better word? Because hero wins then.
Yeah.
And if you're just lazy, then LG is, you know, the low-hanging fruit.
And I'm sure there's some Shroud subs in the chat who can also go along with that hero. It's just his jam. Anyway, let me ask you guys about predictions. We're going to start with Dust. Where do you see this one falling when it comes to Heroic and Luminosity in a best of one?
I just think that like both these teams are in a similar situation where they haven't played with each other that much since they made their most recent roster addition. So I think that that always makes things really tricky to gauge. I will say this though, Heroic has had a lot more international exposure than LG. LG's actually been playing smaller tournaments in Brazil for the past couple of months. Haven't really been out there too much other than Valencia. So I think Heroic's probably a little bit more drilled as a team, even though they haven't played this map very much as an official 5. But I just think that there's a little bit more there for Heroic, just based on recent results alone. So I think I'd have to give them the slight nod, but I think you could see another pretty close game like we saw in the last match.
So who did you pick?
I picked Heroic.
Okay, I just want to narrow it down. Yeah, it took a few seconds. I didn't know, if you had some like.
I didn't have a clear pick before you asked me, so I was thinking about it while I was saying some stuff. You know.
Sometimes that happens too.
Like that filler in your essay,
and it'll just kind of fall out, and just don't really know where it's going to go. More office-esque. Tommy, who do you got?
So I think Heroic's kind of the safe bet. I think they're the team that you know more about. I'm also going to go with them, by the way, mostly just because they showed a slightly higher level when they took a face to OT in Stockholm. But I do think Luminosity is the super inconsistent team. I mean, some of those players, a year ago, they made the major final, and then they had their lowest low in Montreal. You
1
know,
year
there's
ago,
been
an anniversary, if you will.
there's been some roller coaster riding on their side. We'll just see which part of it we're in now.
How about this? I'm going to go in the way of pandering to the Brazilian crowd and say that Luminosity can take this one should the Twins and Steel and all the necessary firepower show up here today. It's very possible. You can never quite write them off, which is the best part about watching this team sometimes. Either way, let's take a look at what you thought, who you thought was going to be the winner here in this matchup, viewing these Twitch poll results. And if I look down, looks like Luminosity sides with me, which sides with... Yeah, whatever. You get the point.
Have they been right in one game?
I don't know, but they're always right as Twitch chat. Let's go ahead and bring the commentators in. We got a fresh pair of faces, and actually, that's going to be Scrawny and Lawn Dog. How you guys doing over there, Blonders?
All right, how we doing, Launders? Yeah, I'll take it from here, all right?
Go
Connors,
for it.
keep your mouth closed, all right? We'll still make the money. I'm doing great, so is Connor.
How about you guys take it away and get us in game?
Sounds right. Sounds great. Thanks, guys. Mohan, it has been 407 days
He had this
since
prepared.
you
He's
and
been
I
preparing for
sat in the DreamHack
He's so happy to
chairs
be in Canada.
together.
That's just the big thing about this whole thing.
DreamHack Atlanta, baby. It's been a long time, my man. It's good to be back.
Yes, I did see you in Hong Kong recently.
Yeah, it's not like this is some big, return.
No.
We've actually been hanging out a lot in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing, because obviously now we're in my city.
Yeah.
Montreal.
I was actually born here, Connor.
You left when you were like 2, so I
I
don't
didn't
think it really
realize
counts.
this city was an island.
Until today.
Yeah, that I was born on an island.
What do you think about this matchup in particular?
I think about this matchup in particular, I think it's really sick because it just, overall, every team is really scrappy at this event. And it feels like college ball almost in a really positive way, where everybody's got tons of talent and they're ready to get picked up for the big leagues, it seems like. But Luminosity, it's just like they just haven't played events recently. But as you mentioned, the stat that you brought up is they won 17 out of 18 of their last online matches.
Yes, since we last saw them online at DreamHack.
Which was also a formidable performance.
Exactly.
If that's even a positive way to describe a performance. I think it is.
So.
I think people would get that.
If you roll with it,
yeah,
it counts.
formidable. Yeah, that sounds good. It was solid. It was a solid showing. So I would say that Heroic are probably really confident because, just as Dust said, they got a lot of international exposure. But Luminosity, super good. And they're the team that after the roster changes, we thought it was just going to be a very strong Brazilian team. Because Zach, because Steel, because Henny, like, there was no reason for them not to succeed.
See, this is where I stand, right? I side with Dust here when he says that Heroic is the more drilled team, but I think Luminosity are capable of drilling teams in the sense that it's a BO1 and they can come out swinging full fists as fast as possible. And if that's going to catch you off guard, then I do think Heroic certainly have their hands full. But you know what? Let's let the players speak for themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the last opening matchup of these groups. And of course, it is Heroic and Luminosity here on Overpass. We've got the T side belonging to Luminosity, and they're keeping a pretty quick pace as they already start to wrap corners, but there's 3 CTs set up, and it's just instantly exchanged. 2 headshots, or rather frags, both going each direction, and another couple, but this time it's 2 for 2. And all of a sudden, we've got ourselves an even situation here in the pistol.
Quite close already. And Maudy's just jump spotting from the site to make sure that it's not going to be a quick hit towards A. Wants to maintain distance with that USP. And now that he spotted his opponents, he can't actually play too hard off this information as we see a fast rotates coming right out for Heroic as they are, as for Luminosity, excuse me, as they run down the stairs. And that's enough to have convinced their opponents that it is going to be an A hit.
So they're certainly going to get that plant off. Luckily, Maudy's got the smoke, Maudy's got the kit, so the retake's going to get rolling. It's the pistol, and it matters. But we already have that bomb planted. And Henny's going to have a little bit more time to work around inside of the bomb site. He wants to get a little aggressive, wants to challenge, take some duels, take some heads. But he's not able to land anything, and just like up towards bathrooms, it's Heroic across the kill feed.
It's interesting because we see both of them get peppered down to 20 and 40 HP respectively, but if either of those duels go the other way, it's a significant amount of map control in the post plant to be able to seal up that 1v1. I'd say the terrorist, no matter which one of them lived, would have had over a 60% chance of winning that every time. 60% of the time?
All the time, yeah. It's really nice to think that, if it wasn't for Luminosity having 4 of their players in that 4v4 situation grouped up towards bathrooms, that they weren't going to be able to trade frag that, and it would have been Heroic's round much sooner. To go from a 2v4 to a 2 versus 2 instantly, it's some successful trade frags to kick it off in the pistol. But, of course, we've got the boys of Luminosity biting their tongue, holding off, not really investing much into this.
Great way to abuse the spawn with Steel running into the short beat. because this is a big area of the map where it's super easy for a CT to push in and just hold on to it, but if they don't, you can sit here, and then there's a small chance that you can actually just get a free kill if they decide to push out, or if somebody on your side gets a kill at A, then they might get more aggressive for information. So here's the first battle taking place. Esatag actually just going to fall back with the UMP. He's lost his support at long, and you can see how much of a fluster, how flustered he becomes because of it. He's got to now watch his back from a terrible spot.
Steel's still sitting down inside the water. He's going to be hearing the footsteps of Maudie just popping his head over the wall. We saw him jump spotting behind boxes on A, and this time he's over towards the B site doing the same damn thing. Nice headshot. Yell denies EasyTag any kind of information as he did walk forward, and Yell could keep this attention committed to him, which is going to put Maudie in such an awful spot, but he could fight himself out of it alone. He doesn't need a teammate to help him out. That MP9 is getting low on ammo, but it's still enough to get the job done. Solid single 3K for him, and he's even fighting for the fourth here. Henny, last man up. He's already being swarmed as the rest of Heroic arrive, and it would be an incredible pistol play. Seeing as everybody had gotten there in time, Maudie did a great job of getting kills and allowing for his teammates to seal the deal.
Overall, numbers are good. They got 3 kills. That's nice. Maudie's the king of Long Beach, so he on both sides when he's on CT side, he's defending it, and it's really nice to also play kind of Long Beach as a terrorist, where you sit outside and he'll lurk in, or he'll be the aggressive lurk into B site, leading all the terrorists. Yeah. The second half, as we'll definitely see later.
I feel like when we first saw Heroic kind of rise to this international level, back when they had still Yugi and whatnot, Heroic and Maudie in particular are very much Overpass oriented. I feel like Heroic at a time were definitely kind of pushing the meta on Overpass.
Definitely.
Yeah, and Maudie most notably, because even when we switch sides, I'm going to call this now, when we have Heroic on the T side, keep your eyes out for Maudie working through short water, working over towards Monster, because he loves to do this solo B play. And what's beautiful about it is it's just a place where he seems comfortable. Individually speaking, he would love to defend the B site or attack it. He just seems very very fine-tuned to the nuances of holding that position on this map.
Yeah, a lot of people would say that now Counter-Strike comes down to timing. How used you are to the timings, and when you can suspect if there's a suspicious thing that can maybe allude to like a push and like a site you wouldn't expect or something like that. And it's just being in tune, with all of these very nuanced things that happens, because there's very little tells anymore to help you out. And I'd say that, especially when playing like the B site, just knowing when you can get away with pushing into B, or when you can hold short, when you think someone's going to jump spot it, like some of these things just need to be like clockwork, but they've also got to be earned. And I think that Maudie's definitely earned it with the last year and a half to almost 2 years. He's been just kind of playing the spot. I don't want to say the same, but he's been playing the same area of the map for so long.
Yeah, and I mean, again, then you throw in all the other experience he has, right? Very tenured player. Alongside Freiberg for Heroic. What I'm really excited to get into, and I don't know if Overpass is necessarily going to play into this narrative all too much, but the opping duel that could happen between these two teams, I think is incredible. Henny, hi Freiberg.
Yeah. Oh,
really flirtatious today.
Yeah, like that.
He's had his bananas, and possibly a monster. But Henny versus Mertz, that is really cool to me, because while Mertz was removed from North recently, I don't think it's necessarily because he was underperforming in terms of fragging and aim. I think that Mertz still is a victim of his mistakes. Okay. He will crack under pressure. Again, I think he's one of those players that can hit these incredible flashy shots when he's supposed to be dying, but then when he is just holding an angle, sometimes you see players slip by him. So if we do get kind of Mertz and Henny unlocked, and we get these aggressive duels over towards Party, down inside of maybe, say, the connector stairs, like we could really have some fireworks in the op play. But again, I don't know how much Overpass is going to play into that.
Yeah, it's two players that are always standing on hot coals.
Exactly. Right? That's a perfect way to put it.
Right. Just fire to their feet, and they're always maybe a little bit too anxious, a little bit too excited, a little bit too overzealous, and that provides for some great content. So we've got a bunch of things going on. We are getting closer.
We are approaching the promised land. Neck is currently having some tech issues. A good coach helps out.
Yeah, Zach helps out. Look at those nice tattoos. Zach has very tasteful tattoos, if people didn't know. There's a lot of great sleeves coming out. Twists? I mean, Twist actually has a fantastic
Can we talk
sleeve.
about Twists for a second?
We can go ahead and get into it if you'd like.
Like, what a turnaround in terms of swagger, I think.
He's really
We got the Dragon Ball Z dude.
It's
invited player.
That's actually
What a hot
kind of
shot.
prestigious. What did you want to talk about with Twist? Just you want to just go head to toe? Just talk about.
Well, I mean, you brought up nice sleeves, nice tattoos. I mean, if I'm thinking Counter-Strike
Dude,
tattoos,
he is an anime.
I immediately think of Crims. You know what Crims has?
Crims has the skull on his
skull
hand.
on the back of his mouse hand.
That one's dope, and
That's
he was
really
one of the
cool.
first to get the he really he was really a trailblazer.
If we're also talking
in terms
tattoos,
of esports CS:GO people.
Henry G.
Henry G.
recently.
That is there's so much
Added a nice
contrast
piece.
in his sleeve.
Yeah.
You just can't forget it. It's like it's some fine work done on his arm.
Do you have any tattoos? Yeah, of course you have tattoos. You have. I mean, you've got your Dark Souls tattoo.
I've got my Dark Souls tattoo. I've got like 5 tattoos.
You have
They're
FNS on
smaller
your
ones.
finger?
Yeah, very underrated player in the North American scene. Currently the best benched Cloud9 player on full salary of all time, I'd say.
I was really hoping that because Daps is currently, of course, analyzing the Face It Major, that we may
Give
have
me
seen FNS step in for NRG during the Epicenter qualifier this weekend. But you know what? There's a lot of
Conversation for
CS
another
going on, and nothing matters more than this one. And we're back into it, folks. It's a bye early on.
What do we have going on? Early kill from Steel, as we were just highlighting the benefits of looking for a play at short B. Once again, abusing that spawn, is actually turning up the heat right now. Has already moved his way around to Monster. Will crouch just under a bullet as a nade goes over top of his head. But because he doesn't finish the frag, it's going to make his job a whole lot harder. And now he's got to make sure he counts his chickens. Is aware, though, that someone might have taken position on him. And even though he jumps over the scope, comes right back for it, and Mertz is patient.
Mertz reads him like a book, not only knowing, of course, that Steel has to retreat, but that he anticipates the peak. And that right there is a 2K, which takes back the man advantage. Remember, LG, they had the 4v5 in their pocket. But it's been picked back up by Heroic, who now sit patiently on the A site. They've anticipated that Luminosity could have been poising themselves on this side of the map, and sure enough, another hesitation. LG will rotate, as they have done in the most recent rounds. Maudy's going to hear some movement, and therefore the rotation's called back down. Now, he did a fantastic job of locking it off with an MP9. Astillion arrives, but not in time, because the smoke is in his face, and Maudy's got this just dead to rights. 2 kills for him. Lucas gets 1 back, but with 25 seconds, the pressure most certainly on. And you can see him trying to hunt these frags. Little does he realize, he's the man in the sights. Maudie locks B down.
Yeah, you don't pull one over Maudie, and it really does come down to him holding that angle, knowing when the kills are coming. And even though it's good for Luminosity that they're getting control of the middle of the map to make for these easy, like 7-second rotations down the stairs, they're still not being able to capitalize on the actual site executes, which is nice for Heroic. I mean, especially just to have someone who can anchor so well. As Maudie's been doing. I think the round is obviously very different, however, if Steel finishes the frag.
Yeah.
You know, if he opens up long B as well as short B, the round's over. Didn't even have to say a word to his teammates. So, unfortunately for Luminosity, he didn't get that kill. It was also kind of a sitter, right? There was a peek. He threw a nade. He was out in the open. Could have died.
Yep.
And there's definitely a universe very close to ours where he does get both kills on B and Luminosity take that one-handedly.
Yeah, a little bit of timing there plays into the favor. Hell, even if we saw Steel with a frag grenade, I think he would have chucked it up behind the barrels knowing the player's tag, but no, he had no utility. That's why he was playing so aggressively. That's why he was just looking for picks, because he had the Kalashnikov, and he was headhunting Mohan.
Salient point. Very much so. Now we might have a tactical timeout as, just a mic problem, which I think on the list of problems, it's not that high up.
No.
I'd say maybe in terms of common problems, it's high up, but in terms of problems you wouldn't want to have.
In terms of severity.
Severity of the issue. It's maybe in the top near the bottom of the top 10. I don't know how else I could word that.
See, look at that. Right back into the action.
Easy.
I mean,
problems.
May not be much action. Remember, Luminosity coming in off of their bye in round 3 will be clearly limited here in the 4th. It's an aggressive stance from EC Tag, a nice bank grenade, which just drops Lucas, and Steel took damage in the meantime. But the only A setup right now is just Mertz looking for some contact kills. He's going to have a very easy fallback, not only because the edge of the bathroom is right there, but also because he's got a teammate just behind him. So 1 shot down, EC Tag here to help, and nobody's pushing too far forward for LG just yet.
Could feel that tension with he had the op there, knowing that all of those terrorists had definitely pushed out towards A, but they weren't peeking him. And Nekas instantly gets that P250 kill, dink, and then body shot.
Ooh, Mert's gonna miss the second bullet, but Easy Tag comes in from the corner, and he will deal swiftly with the bomb on top of it. Last man up is Steel. He's got a deagle, and he's got a bullet in the brain. Freiberg from the heavens, and Heroic move to 4.
Yeah, clean round for sure. And it is tough once you it's understood what you're going to try to do to get past a certain point at bathrooms where you can actually execute on A side. And there were so many good rotations here. I think it's a lot of trouble for the CTs that play A2 passively if they don't have enough rotations in place, if they're not playing those kind of cheeky tucked in spots like we saw S-Attack playing on the outside of bathrooms, and then obviously having someone to pull attention away from spots like that is very important. So someone jump spotting on the site, somebody who plays the truck if you've got one maybe tucked in it long, and making sure that everybody's in place nice and early so no one gets caught off guard. Now I think we might be, it might be another small,
should be another tech.
Little techie. We're gonna get an update here. Nice TeamSpeak issue. Have we ever gone into VoIP of choice? Have you ever had that conversation?
The what? VoIP of choice?
VoIP of choice.
I mean, don't you have a TeamSpeak server?
But we always meet in the Discord.
Of course, the underground. Yeah. That's what it's called. It's the place to be. VIPs. And a much slower stance from Luminosity. They will throw 2 guys down ladder immediately, so playing for a little bit of connector. You see them already, I think, reserved in the sense that they were wanting to dodge those frags, which they ate in the previous round. But they're not going to find frag grenades in a forward position. They're going to find just straight up presence. Heroic with 2 guys towards party and even a 3rd towards long.
So again, we've highlighted why it's been tough for Luminosity, where they have a pretty good early round. They don't lose players too early. They get map control. They've got good opening setups. But then after, in the mid round, they're having a bit of an issue. So now they've got that map control again. Let's see how it plays out.
Easy Tag, I feel as though he's heard some players, and again he's going to catch a man off with an off angle. Fantastic 2K. Remember, just go back a couple rounds versus the anti-eco, and it's him that comes in from the shadows of the bathroom.
Go back.
And now in a gun round, he's banished them back.
Yeah, and go back a couple of months and see that, you know, S-Attack has been one of the players that you definitely need to highlight on Heroic. The only one over a 1.0 rating besides Mert, and he's not opping. So definitely a star and standout player for them right now, shining light.
There was a time where Easy Tag was benched. They brought him back in because the roster was 1 man short, with Yugi having had some issues prior to his move to Optic. And now, look at him go. He's definitely proving himself, Mohan. But another boost, this time from the CTs. Monty's got eyes over towards the monster. Once more, he looks to be the rock in the bomb site. He's not going to be the only one. A couple of stones with him. Here's the jump up, predicts Steel's position while the bomb does go down. Henny follows suit. Nice little swarm there by Heroic. They're suffocating Luminosity despite the T's getting footing on the bomb sites themselves.
This one's tough for me, Connor, because we saw an early round where they got the playground push and everything, and they were jumping up on the slide, just exactly to spot for S-Attack to come over, but they missed him, just like an awkward timing, and then he also gets 2 kills off of it. From this off angle, they don't even clear it because they thought they did their due diligence in making sure no one had pushed in the first place. And then it's just great like aim on the second kill. So I have a hard time holding that round against Luminosity or just taking it too seriously. But for them, you know, a best of 1, and we're nearing the halfway point of the first half.
Yeah, last time we saw these teams play versus each other on LAN, we didn't have Mertz in the lineup, right? That's the only difference. And now, on top of that, when it happened at DreamHack Valencia, in the opening best of 1 of the group, Heroic did get the best of LG. But then, in the decider best of 3 of that very same group, it ended up, or excuse me, no, it would have been playoffs. Luminosity ended up getting the better of them in a BO3 format. So these teams are, I believe, in terms of map count, currently 2 wins per team plus a tie down the middle. Whatever that means. I don't know. HLTV told me.
It's a jersey split, I think it's called.
Oh. That's okay.
I didn't make that up.
I'm never sure with you. You're a trendsetter.
I lived with
you got to be
Steele
careful.
in Toronto for like years. Me and him at a condo.
Of course, this guy is you know, the initial issue made some waves, and we're down to the ripples. You know, we're smoothing it out. We're smoothing it out. We've steamed the shirt, and now we iron it.
Very nice. Are we spraying water on it when we iron it?
You should.
We should.
Depends on the material of the shirt.
Sometimes I don't. If it's like an immediate thing, like I need my shirt in the next 30 to 40 minutes,
Yeah.
I skip the water.
Do you?
Sometimes.
You live life on the edge.
It's a bold move, I'd say.
I mean, that's why it's very important to never... That's Lurpus' brother.
I was just
I
thinking.
see the family.
I didn't see Lurpus wearing green today.
Yeah. Imagine he's on the desk, slips in behind the teams.
He's already smiling more than Lurpus, though. So, dead giveaway.
Dead giveaway. You know what's a bit of a blunder for Luminosity in that last round, unfortunately for them, is
What was the blunder?
You're right in bringing up the fact that boost was literally the counter to EC Tag's walkout push, but on the slide, there was a little bit of, slippery shenanigans.
They did mess up the jumps a little bit.
Exactly.
That's
it was
true.
Slow. It was maybe 2-3 seconds slow.
On merit,
and
you
they
can hold that
missed
against them.
the push by that 2-3 second frame. So
That's a good point.
I mean, it's the devil's in the details.
That's very true. It's easy to forget the past, too.
Of course.
Those things that have those minute details. All right, we're getting trolled by an inanimate program.
The team speak. See, this is why we use Discord launders.
We like Discord.
Actually, I mean, I don't know the technical benefits of either, really. I'm too
Same.
cheap to rent a server.
I'm just not smart enough
I don't got the money for that,
or inquisitive enough to go and look up the details.
Zach went from trying to help admins to now just...
Hands on hips,
Yeah.
head to the sky.
Yeah, walking away.
Gave it his best shot.
Look how high the ceilings are here in the Olympic Stadium.
Yeah,
in
when
my
was this
opinion,
built?
This was built in... I should know this. I believe it's 67, the 67 Olympics. It's in the 60s, 70s, sometime down there.
I think it was 1976.
I mean, look, we have a phone in front of us, and therefore we have the power of Google.
And we also have the camera coming right back to us. Just want to say hi to you guys. Hi, guys.
Hey, folks. Thanks for sitting around.
Okay.
We got a break. Word is in, folks. So we're going to fix this with a break so we take off the pressure, and then we'll come back just after the fact. So don't go too far. You're watching DreamHack Open Montreal. We've returned.
We're
Welcome
back.
back. Folks, it is, of course, Heroic versus Luminosity in the final opening match of DreamHack Montreal 2018. We're here in the Olympic Stadium. I'm Connor Scrawny Gervin. This is Mohan Launders Govindasamy. That it?
Almost.
Close enough. Tech issues have been
DreamHack,
resolved.
baby.
We're jumping back into Overpass,
Let it
where
out.
currently Heroic hold a 5-0 start on that CT side.
Couldn't ask for a better start.
No, definitely not. Definitely comes down to a couple rounds of timing. Not only ECTag's walk up towards the playground, but also Steel unable to get that second kill towards the B site. We've had some close calls, some very real chances, but now we've got another gun round. So if you want to talk chances, this is certainly one.
Yeah, one of the few remaining, at least to buy up and have all the things that they want. And wow, they have no flashes here in round 6. Oh, they have one, actually.
One banger.
It's fake news. They've got Henny, who at least has one. We're not entirely sure. And, yeah. Middle of the map control, something, a recurring theme in this game so far that we talked about. Luminosity, great at starting out rounds. Heroic have given them and conceded so much of the map, or allowed them to set up in the setups that they wanted to. And here, like, they've got their core all set up, no stairs control for the CTs, no short control for the CTs, something I would definitely advise against for the CTs, but they are very conscious about the fact that pressure is about to be put on them, having 3 players now pushing up to the bathrooms.
Yeah, Mertz has played this angle before. He's being teased by the kneecaps of Lucas, but do not tease a beast, because Mertz will take you down. Again, a man advantage here for Heroic. So the map control goes the way of Luminosity. Sure, the setup looks as though they get to where they want to be, but every time they seem to have something rolling, it's Heroic that obscure it. And right now, ECTag, he's going to see the shadows cross. He jumps the gun. A little too itchy on the trigger. The T's get past him, and now ECTag strikes in from behind. They don't seem to realize that he was there. Mertz pinched in between Nekas and Henny, and therefore a 3v2 still to the favor of Heroic, with Freiberg coming in from the back lines and still the front standing. It's the 2 quick kills from the T's, but Asilian locks it down. You lead by example. 3 health the difference, and he gets himself a clutch.
Wow, 1v2, 1v2, blink and you'll miss it. Jeez, he's got 4 health. And this is the replay we needed to. Can't fault the observer for missing that. Henny, did he miss enough?
Didn't realize that there was 2 players. He saw the corpse fall.
That's what happened.
Asilian, covered in dead bodies, pulls the 1v2 out of the hat.
Wow, call him a zombie.
And now, well, now we've got ourselves a sticky situation. Luminosity back in with economic woes, have one man who's bought up all the way. $0 on Henny. And yet, everybody else just has that armor and pistol behind them. Mertz in a high-pressure position will get himself the first kill, and he's not going to move anywhere. Finally, he decides to fall back slightly, and the T's trickle in. A third? No. Yell denies up close, and that's an op retrieved. So 2 guns in the hands of LG.
And that is the worst place they could have put an op in this situation versus an eco. Absolutely no support for Mertz. No one at bathrooms to help him out. They smoked themselves out at A, and they had no one pushing on short so that he could exit out the stairs. He was completely screwed, left out on an island such as Montreal by himself, and now they've forfeited an op, a kill. It's not really given Luminosity a much better chance of winning the round, I would say, but just even retrieving the op, whether they keep it or they try to go for the entries with it, it's just such a big win for them.
Creeping forward, CZ's going to be the front man. Yell behind him, looking to trade frag. And that's going to leave Lucas, the bomb carrier, to try and close this very short distance, which he is now revealing himself with. The shadow for Madi is again going to be an indicator. But Luminosity just hit the brakes a little bit. And this is going to give Asilian time to flank, so the CTs do have the terrorists boxed in, but it is still the 2v2. Madi, with 2 health the difference, walks inside of Pit, finally dies. Asilian arrives, and he hits the headshot. Not the second kill. No back-to-back 1v2. This time, the round goes LG's way.
I don't know. It doesn't necessarily come down to the fact that they retrieved the op from stairs because they didn't get any of the final kills with it. But maybe they had more confidence to go in. Maybe because they made it a 4v4, they had more confidence to play it. But either way, it was such a strange setup to have your opera go out that aggressively on all alone versus an eco. And even on rifle rounds, you would never leave your op in a position like that without a way for him to fall back, either up or down the stairs. Now we move into the next rifle round. Heroic are maybe going to be a little bit mad at themselves for how everything turned out, but they've also got a giant lead and enough money to buy up. Although the economic damage is apparent because Freiburg is sitting on a FAMAS, and that's not something you'd see typically after a team won 6 rounds in a row.
Yep, and the bank account's pretty much bottomed out, so they have Heroic fully invested. We saw Mertz go for that early water control. He was trying to pry down towards the other side of Monster, saw no contact. Luminosity did have an AWP over there, but Henny wasn't hunting. Instead, everybody re-rotates. Easy tag, he's locked down the bathrooms before. He will start it off with the first kill, but caught with a grenade in hand. Good trade from Steel, even 4v4.
Situation reset now in very familiar territory for Luminosity as the clock now is just below a minute. Yell heard something, didn't he?
Yeah, he has an inkling as to what's going on here, but there are 2 CTs outside, so he's going to have to hit them both. And Mertz up close could be caught off guard, but Yell jumping outwards isn't going to be able to land his shot. Now Mertz with a no-scope up close gets Steel down to the ground. Henny through the wall, though. A bit of a blunderbuss down here towards the short water. It's going to be a high-pressure situation once more because 20 seconds on the clock is not a lot to work with, and they're going to try to pinch this in once again. Freiburg and Madi sitting back, allowing for Luminosity to walk forward. They see the player, and Henny is hitting bodies. Now, also heads. A little brotherly love on the B-bomb site, and it pushes it onto Asilian. His third 1v2. He's 1 for 1. Where does this one go? He's already come in from heaven. Last time he arrived from the flank, so you can see them clearing out short. And there's currently a separate engagement that can be had, because the site player has no support. But Asilian doesn't know this, and he doesn't make the most of it either. Timing on the pillar could catch him. Oh my goodness. Another penetration kill comes in.
Unreal. Wow. What a round overall. I would just like to say that insane op duel at the stairs that we're about to witness. This is Henny wall banging after. Mertz just did that jumping no-scope op shot through the window. Didn't even have to see him.
That was a nice one too. Just clips the top of his noggin.
Takes the hat right off.
And this, as we said, leaves Heroic in economic woes. That was a full investment in the previous round. So with USPs as vanilla as it gets, they will charge their way down long A.
Luminosity are suddenly into this game in a way that we did not expect to see.
Whoa, this is elaborate. We've got an anti-flash rock player, a 2-man head boost, and a guy over by tree. Don't go long A, Neckis.
It's closed.
Walk
it's
away. Just walk away.
Yeah. Yeah. And for whatever reason, they get the hint. Oh, Steel has actually gone on a info mission, and he did it with an AK, which is kind of interesting. Steel has been very aggressive. Very, very aggressive, Steel, this one.
Heroic get a little antsy. Bomb plant confirms their quarry. The fact that, of course, Luminosity went elsewhere. So an elaborate stack that they can definitely reapply later in the game. It hasn't been found out, right? The one-off.
So a team, I know that Luminosity had the conversation that there was a high likelihood Heroic are saving, but they could have some residual income from the previous rounds, and they know that Heroic won so many in a row, they didn't keep tabs on every single one. So maybe let's play it safe, let's all get AKs, let's make sure that we seal this up. Now that they see that there's USPs, they realize, okay, we could have definitely bought SMGs, but they're going to be happy to know that they've probably got another save on their hands as well, as the final few kills fall into place. And even though 1 kill goes the way of Heroic, Armani will save this USP, which the only thing he really saved for his team was not giving Luminosity an extra $300.
Denying the cash.
Deny the cash.
You know he's fully puckered when he's sitting behind those pallets, right?
Puckered up. Double cheeked up on a Tuesday. Well, that's a Thursday.
It is.
Yeah.
No, it's a Friday.
It's a Friday.
Day 1. DreamHack open. Montreal. Guns back on the menu. No op, of course, for Heroic. It'll be Mertz relegated down to the M4. He has been impressing me as of late with his rifle play. Not one of those oppers that is screwed without the big green gun. But EC Tag, he's been so good with these off angles, just letting players walk into them. And Neckis, you have to know, you should know, that if you walk around that corner, the shadow gives way to anybody who's playing upper bathrooms. And he doesn't walk around that corner with a flash or any kind of a teammate to trade him. He just gives away the info, and he gives away his life.
Yeah, and so sometimes they don't want to use their utility early. You make a very strong point. There's the shadow is It's
There's just angles like that.
It's an egregious shadow. Everybody knows about it, and it's a strong angle to play top bathrooms from. Now, I think they might have been queuing into the fact that Heroic have played so passively in a lot of these rounds that they've given up bathrooms control, so they didn't want to waste any extra utility, and also didn't want to throw any flashes to show that they were maybe trying to take it. But because they went for that read, they lose a very easy frag, and they look kind of dumb doing it.
Ooh, but a couple kills go back the way of Luminosity, and Lucas is so close to this bomb site. He could catch these two CTs off guard. First is EC Tag in the corner, and he will win the duel. Locks it down on the A site as Steel gets himself another. He has successfully cracked open the B site, but on his aggressive stance, he will be denied. 20 seconds left over. 1v1 towards the B site, and it's Henny trying to duel. He's going to smoke off the doorway, swaps over to the AK, nearly gets himself one kill, but he will find neither. And Heroic are back on the board.
He was intent on playing that as quickly as possible, trying to just end it when he could.
To return to the point about this regularly passive positioning from Heroic towards bathrooms, you are absolutely right. I don't believe we've seen anybody in upper bathrooms since their CT side has started. Normally you get EC Tag or Mertz kind of back past that half door so that they can immediately retreat into the bomb site. And sure enough, yes, that is the reason they lose their first duel. But fast one. Neka's going to take the place of Steel. Moves his hot feet straight through the flames.
He did, he made a conscious decision to do that. Wow.
Goodbye.
We talk about that after. A couple of kills go out early on. The 3 players up for Luminosity, and that was their play for this round, At this point, they phoned it in. They're like, all right, we didn't do what we needed to do, and we took a giant risk by taking so much damage and relying on the entry. It's always fun to watch those long-range spam duels through the wood.
The wallbang wars.
But yeah, that was kind of what they were. That was their whole strategy here. Now they're going for another lurk. Yeah, I was walking out.
Another B site walkout. Man on ramp and second up in heaven, a third towards Graffiti. We're going to get that rotation coming down from Heroic. They get wind of what is going on. Smoke pluming for Freiberg's actually going to keep him pretty safe now. He's cool to just chill inside of the water. Astillion getting himself a double, and Freiberg the last. So once again, Luminosity, they kind of get into the B site, and it provides them false hope. They're thinking, nice, we've got some footing in the round, and then Heroic, they just, like a praying crocodile, clamp down their jaws and chomp.
So if I had to guess, I would say Nekas didn't throw that smoke on, because he had a smoke to throw on the Molotov that he could have done easily running through short B. He didn't do it because there's no reason not to, because in terms of keeping you safe, you could still pull your gun out after the smoke, no problem. He didn't do it maybe because he just didn't want to be heard, but he put so much, he invested so much. There's just such a big risk that came along with that, I feel like, to catch the CTs off guard that are maybe setting up, or to try to go to short B like he did and get an entry, but then just to die to an A because he's at 40 health. And then to have his teammate to come and follow up as well was a little bit strange. Very risky opening duel.
Yeah, goodbye, Mom. Hello, T-side. Easy tag. He's going to drop 3. Still in the final 2. And that is 1 casualty on the side of Heroic here as they just continue to soar forward on their CT side. Good place to start, seeing as they are on the cusp of double digits.
Yeah, and I wonder what the comms are like in the camp of Luminosity right now. What are they discussing as being their strengths in this half so far? Because if you ask me, it's actually how they would set up thoroughly in the early round. And I would also not count on the fact that Heroic would do the same thing every round, right? The fact that Esatag was there to catch someone walking in for free into bathrooms later on in the half is a result of conditioning, right? They did that because it's clear that that's a bad idea to not ever play bathrooms, and then they just throw a player there, they catch a free kill. So I like that Luminosity were actually kind of being a little bit more thorough about the way that they approached it. And as soon as they let off the gas pedal in that regard, it seems like they have much less of a game plan. Now they are so much more intent on getting right to the execute and not respecting the process, if you will.
Easy tag getting curious towards Connector. Puts down the fires, extinguished instantly from the T-side smoke, but there's a man in short and the boost. both kills get denied by Luminosity, and they're going to just try to trudge forward. Maudie still survives as what seems like always, but Astillion comes in from the cubby, and he's able to get himself the kills. Now looking for the 2 towards Monsters, just getting the first. Keeping things as even as could be. More damage goes out, but it's just the kills for Heroic that get the best of Luminosity. Henny's going to swap to the rifle in the clutch. We've seen a many 1v2 attempts so far this half. And with a minute on the clock, he's got options. Could try to go for the long con, could try to play some mind games. But he needs that bomb. It's going to be crucial. And Easy Tag caught sleeping inside of the site, completely blindsided, and now the man drops down into the water. I think Henny gets wind of this. It seemed like he did. Crosshair positioned well, and he nails it. Finally, LG get the best of a back-footed clutch.
Definitely. Such good patience on that as well. And I mean, their way into B was very messy. I mean, I'm not even exactly sure what happened. They got the 2 kills that they needed, but then Astillion was sitting there right at the headshot barrels and managed to, I think, get 1 and then also peek in a monster with the help of a flash from his teammate. But if they were aware of that position just in general and hard cleared it, I think Luminosity would have had a much easier time winning that round. Wouldn't have had to rely on the 1v2 from Henny, but they got there in the end. And now, Henny opting for the jump up. There is a CP setup here. Mertz misses his first shot, sitting on the Asimov, one of the legacy skins in CSGO.
Another sick angle from Easy Tag. The setups from Heroic have been so dynamic towards this upper bathroom side. It's very difficult for Luminosity to get a read as to what's going on. We've seen them fall prey to these one-off positions. The creeps, the crawls, the consistency from Heroic here. And even now, after losing that front runner, they're not going to retreat fully into the A site. Mertz will linger a little longer, hoping that the man walks around, and sure enough, he does. Yell. Shot down, shut down, and Mertz cleared out. This could open up the long A avenue. There's nobody to stop them from getting to the bomb site, so long as they keep this moving and do so rather quickly, they'll be fine. They still have the party player watching for that connector flank, and so the only resistance should come in from these B rotators on the way up.
But look how slow they're actually moving at this point. There's the CTs that are now going to get into position, and Lucas has a great spot, and yeah, they have all the reason to believe that there is somebody here and they want to make sure they can trade. And Lucas takes a small timing window to look away, but there he is, follows up and kills Astillion, making it now a 3v2 with a ton of information, realizing that B had been pushed.
Oh, but Maudie's really good at locking bomb sites, and he is in position, but Henny cracks him one. And just like that, it's going to be Freiburg left reeling upwards. We're getting into the nitty-gritty. Even though they had this advantage in the open A site at about 50 seconds, it's only going to be a plant in the final 5. And Freiburg's flanked from bank thanks to Steel. LG making enough of this half. If we switch sides and we start watching Luminosity throw wrenches into the works of Heroic's offense, I think we still should have a game on our hands.
Yeah, we should have a game on our hands. I'd say, like, in terms of quality of play, it looks like Heroic definitely have like such a better grasp of the game so far. They've just kind of thrown away some of these rounds, and maybe shouldn't have lost a 1v2, or maybe they had a good opening setup, but then just couldn't follow through. And now Luminosity just really just going fast almost every single round.
Oh my goodness, look at him go, full pedal to the metal. Lucas into the bomb site, clearing out the columns. Steele's got himself a second 2. So unless this smoke lurker throws something wonky the way of LG, they should be all right. It is 2 pistol kills to come in near simultaneously at that. It's an AK for Easy Tag, and he's got a full belt of utility too. I mean, we're talking the 15th round. He's gonna go for this, and Astillion even picks up the CZ kill. Sure, it's traded back, but Easy Tag's in a good position to try and keep this rolling. Goodbye, good night. The final 3 rounds of the half all go the way of Luminosity, and honestly, that's the difference between a 12-3 or a 9-6. Significant.
That's true, very significant. And for Luminosity, man, if I really, in my heart of hearts, I feel like they kind of felt like they were lost near the end of the half and didn't know exactly how to maintain after they got those 3 round wins. And a couple of the early rounds were very close in the beginning of the half, but in terms of game plan, I personally feel like Luminosity felt outplayed, and that Heroic had their number and understand what they were going to do. And Luminosity were just like, let's just start moving faster. Yeah. It's kind of just like an overarching theme to the rest of our play. Let's just involve more faster strats. Whatever we do, if we want to go A, we want to go B, we want to hit this spot first, let's try to make it quick. And that ended up being the perfect remedy, as we saw a huge problem for Heroic later in that half. And it was so dominant to the point that you wonder if they started out like that, would they have just like numerically won the half, or even had like a 10-5, 11-4 half themselves?
I think you see that as well with like just the pacings, right? We saw the setups, we saw the counter boost, we saw them hold and let utility come through at the beginning of the half, but LG threw that out the window. And just the numbers game as well. You know, we no longer had those kind of solo lurkers on the other side of the map. It was pretty much a 5-man core playing shoulder to shoulder and just looking to trade frag their way to at least this 6 rounds. But it's going to be a fast clash inside Connector. There's 7 bodies in here and 2 more CTs just outside in water. This looks to me like a counter. A great setup from Luminosity, certainly going their way. Madi's got a double. All the targets present themselves, and with 20 shots in the Glock, he can't get himself anything further. So it falls onto Mertz, and he's going to have to come down from the top of Connector, which could catch players off guard. But how does he play this? I mean, they're ready to swarm him. He's going to jump, just throws himself into the mouth of the shark. And down he goes. Luminosity with a pistol and a very real chance at equalizing rounds.
And in terms of setup, it's exactly what they wanted. They wanted a slow creep up into the stairs where they had their USPs laying in wait, everybody picking in a nice angle, and they know that as soon as they turn the corner and they see that there is a setup, that it's the terrorists who are going to be surprised, who are going to be scared, and are going to wonder, how did we get red so hard? So I think that's going to be a nice pickup for Luminosity, and it now comes down to some clean anti-ecos here for them to really feel like they've solidified their place in this half.
Look at this. This is what I was expecting as we switched over. And I mean, sure, it is the anti-eco, but I'm watching for Luminosity's aggression. I want to see if they continue to try and make plays and transition it from the end of the first half into the start and the entirety of their CT side. Bomb drop. Henny, not sure if he's being wrapped around, but sure enough, I was going to say he has support from Lucas. His brother in arms dropped towards Connector. Now Henny is certainly going to be pinched, but he's using this cover fantastically. It's not going to be enough to make the difference. And now we have a really interesting scenario because Madi upgrades onto the M4, and we're talking with Kevlar. Not to mention the MP7. We've still got 2 smokes for an execution and a 3v3 to play off of. What could really cost them is that flank from LG.
You're making this look very good for them, but yeah, Steel's coming up. Right up someone's butt. I don't know who that is. Oh, there's no one here at, never mind, at Balloons. It's actually all 3 of them at long. But Neka is now in a very committed position. One that, if it gets hard cleared, will not be that nice. But if it doesn't, will probably result in 3 kills and no deaths for the CTs.
Got the support from Yell, just kind of jumping over the truck. There's the shadow, and Nekis comes wide. 2 kills for him. Easy tag, runs forward with the pistol, and therefore there's nothing more. So good damage control from LG.
Yeah, good damage control at the end of the day. Really did feel like Henny was going to go to town with that push at the beginning of the round. Probably disappointed in himself that he couldn't make that happen, but as Connor just mentioned, you know, the unrelenting aggression that we might see in the CT side, I think it's definitely very good for teams. I mean, there's just so many teams that play the CT side on Overpass way too passively, and I like to see a good start to the half right in the beginning with a bunch of pushes.
Yeah, I feel like if you want to look at a good CT side, it's going to be Heroic that actually had a nice little balance between aggression and also passive setups. It's a casualty towards the washrooms here for LG, but they're going to pick up the pieces pretty swiftly. Just push it under the rug, and let's get this into the action. Let's get some gun rounds, Mohan.
Yeah, let's get it started. We've got a real game on our hands now. It was 6-1 to kick things off. Heroic starting off extremely strong and just looking like the smarter, more prepared team here on Overpass. And obviously this is a best of 1, so all of the least favorite maps of each team have been removed. And that's probably also what's contributing it to be such a competitive map. And Yell's got a wide space here and a great flick to start off this round. Tag immediately taken out.
Yeah, 1 op of 2. Luminosity, double sniper the moment we get ourselves into the gun rounds. And when I see a play like that, I'm expecting to be watching Henny. Yell, taking one out of the book. And just finding a 5v4. Now, of course, Heroic's still very capable of coming back in this round. I mean, they've got the utility for an execution. They have Freiburg regaining map control. And sure enough, that's because Luminosity have just slithered back into the safety of the sites, for the most part. We also do still have a man up on long A, and the majority of this defense resides towards B.
Great spread here from the terrorists as they look to seek out their best option site-wise. And Henny just showing a bit of his body. will actually be shot at right away just because it's a dangerous game to play with that op, and now looks for a new angle. Is down about 60 HP off of that glimpse, and knows the execution's coming his way. Madi takes him out.
Fast one, shut down by Steel for just a single kill. Freiberg's gonna try and just irk his way through smoke. Neck is playing on the other side, denies the entrance from Mertz. He gets caught with a bomb in hand. Not a good look for the young gun. Yell, waiting for the peek on the other side of column. Oh, but then he overextends. Asilian, great patience. And Lucas, in an attempt at a clutch. Health advantage certainly his, but it's gonna be the double peek that could come in unless they wait for him to walk forward. That's such a chunky damage. Now Lucas, of course, he's got a clear close right, and that's where Asilian takes the fight, stops him, shuts him down. And Asilian is really good in those kinds of 2v2, 1v type scenarios. When you've got the riffraff out of the way and it comes down to the real men still standing, the IGL steps up.
That's good, maybe good with the communication just one-on-one is when he really maybe opens up and comes into his own, and he definitely gave those two Luminosity players, Yell and Lucas, the business with those op kills. And Lucas had no idea how close he came with that one dink through the wall. And he won't know maybe until the tournament's over. And we'll never know, to be honest. But now Mertz getting so aggressive. No damage is dealt, but they've definitely made their mark here, showing Luminosity what they want out of this round. And that's information, that's to be aggressive. It's to put everything on the table.
This is what I wanted. I wanted to see that op v op go down. But doesn't look as though it'll come through just yet, because Mertz has repositioned. I do like that Mertz's op presence is what allows for this one terrorist to now anchor that close B bomb site position, and he's just playing informational. I mean, he's just looking for footsteps on the B site. He's waiting for maybe the attempt of Luminosity to push into connector. He's an anchor, and this is going to allow for the rest of Heroic to go merrily work their way towards A. They'll eventually find this boost between Lucas and Yell, but this is one player equipped with a FAMAS and the other with a pistol.
Control smoke down at long. Everybody knows what this is for, just to be able to gain ground here. And you sometimes see the CTs throw it, and it really is situational in that regard. You can also just throw it as a farce to make it seem like you're grouping up. Here is going to be a very real situation. And since it's the eco setup, FAMAS goes in front. Yell gets traded 1-for-1.
Lucas could catch it by surprise. A nasty first headshot and a second spam comes through. Give us the third. Lucas knows. He knows, but he can't get the frag. He's got the AK. Good enough. Goodbye, Mertz. Bomb drop. And now it falls to Madi. 10 seconds. What are you going to do with a MAC-10 and 4 CTs ahead? Absolutely nothing. Double digits both sides. Game tied. And we've got the brothers pumped.
Damn. Oh, what a round from Lucas on a completely flat angle here. Immediately reacting to both players coming out and just playing with Mertz at this point, who bit on the shoulder peek that he gave him. So now it's all tied up, and that was an eco where they crushed their long presence. No problem. The setup out the gate here for Heroic, where they are on the back foot and saving. Everybody is going out to long besides Madi, who's now made his way out to short B to make sure that there is no push, no flank in sight. And he can kind of listen for stairs as well. And here for these rotations, especially for, 20 to 30 seconds from now when his teammates start making a lot of noise. But instead of creeping around, they're more concerned with making sure they don't get killed, which I think they should prioritize, especially when you have pistols. Especially when it's early on, too. Not making noise is less important, just because there is less onus on you to commit to something.
This corner could get cleared. Of course, Lucas will have the support from Yell. Assuming he doesn't get pressured from bathrooms at the same time, Lucas does not want to overextend around the corner, because where there's one pistol, there could very well be more. And the retreat's a great call, because you see the flash come over the top of the roof. Heroic trying to clear him from this position, but he's already gone. Like a ship in the night, he silently sinks back. And in doing so, he will still hold the position. I mean, Heroic, despite throwing out this utility, are not making Luminosity that uncomfortable. They're content to hold their ground. It's now that the smokes are in the face of the off that it will be nullified. But Nekis comes in from the corner. Lucas the same. The T's have been slain, except for Madi. He's got his footing over towards the B site. The bomb's coming downwards. And had he gotten that kill, we're talking a round on our hands. But instead, It's nothing from Heroic.
And you can credit Henny for being prepared for anybody who might have come that close. And as soon as they knew that there was nobody left on A and there was still 2 people up, they know. They haven't killed their boy, the boy Madi, and that he is almost always going to be found either poking around at short B or trying to walk in through monsters. So I gave him the tip off, allowed him to be aware of the push, and made it so that there's no plant for Heroic to use. And they've actually decided to use their first tack pause of the evening. We're not exactly sure what they might be discussing. They can just go through with almost any type of game plan at this point. I don't think they've defined their half so far in terms of what strategies they may or may not use. I don't think it's like Luminosity where there's one clear problem with the way that they're playing. I think there are multiple options here that they could fall back on or just kind of set the tone with.
I'm going to try to get a little scientific here. Based on my reading of the body language, the next time you see Mertz with an AWP, he is going to be going for a very aggressive play. The way he was shaking his head and agreeing, I think he's going to be the pinpoint of their next attempt at an execution.
Okay. Let's watch for it. I'm going to call you out if it's not the case.
We've got pistols coming in, Mohan. It's not much, it's just Glocks. Steel's gonna lock down the monster side. Henny's, whoa, caught switching weapons, but Steel is good. He does not melt under pressure. And so, 5 CTs alive at the end of that one. Easy anti-eco. Let's go.
Need a little jet fuel.
Little jet fuel.
That's funny.
Look at this, that's an easy one.
Oh yeah.
Oh, hello.
Why not? You were thinking about planning? No, I don't think so.
Nothing at all. Good deny by Steel. Let's see what Mertz is up to.
He's out in front. This is typically when I would, go short. I don't know. He's posting here on anybody to come and take a duel with him. They've actually decided to lead off of him, so clearly he was part of the conversation. And they've got an open site. I don't know how this happened.
Yeah, very aggressive stance from Luminosity towards that A site. Looks like they wanted to try and shut down some kind of a setup, but now what this does confirm is they can swarm the B site. We've got a 5v5 retake on our hands. Mertz hears the player coming from the back line, and so he denies the flank. There's still a potential second and third. 2 CTs inside of Connector looking to just punch their way closer to the bomb site. They don't know if there's a man in the corners, but there isn't. The entirety of Heroic are between Monster and the site itself. Sure, they've got a guy down in water, but with the utility going down, we're 3/4 of the way through the clock. This bomb is going to explode inevitably. It's an easy backstab for Lucas. He's going to apply some pressure here, and while the kills come in, hold your breath. There's a chance. If someone can slip their fingers onto the bomb, we'd have a round on our hands, but no. It's too far inside the bomb site. Everybody's going to die. Death and decay. You love it.
Man, just like you were explaining kind of to the teams at that moment, it was just too late to try to go for the bomb. Yeah, they almost had it at the end. I don't think that justifies actually attempting the retake in that situation when there was, as you said, almost 80% of the timer gone and not enough kills to say, all right, we've got a chance here.
Even despite finding Heroic with their backs literally turned, they still just didn't have enough time to make it happen.
Yeah.
I mean, Heroic just rushing back to the bomb site in terms of just being there, being present, is what wins it. They didn't need any further kills. They just had to be close enough to deny any bomb plant. The bomb was never even touched. No digits punched. But Yell will miss a shot towards Long. They're going to try to flush him out. Easy tag off of the flash will peek. Great flashbang, fully blind. And Yell, despite having another chance at life and to dish out death, has fallen himself. Henny knows that there's got to be some presence near, but instead of forcing the issue, he'll fall off to a safer angle. This will still give him an attempt at a kill. It would equalize us into the 4v4, but it also gives him this opportunity to just reel back around the curved corner.
It seems like it might have been a cost-effective situation, though. I guess the way they saw it was that because they'll be able to buy here and if they get enough kills, Heroic are in a really tight spot, and they definitely are. I mean, they've got this MAC-10, they've got a UMP. Oh, it's a bit of a fluff spray.
Still, Henny's going to be a thorn in their side. They will still try to plant because he can't deny anything further. Mertz gets the best of him. And these last 2 Luminosity players, they are running for the hills. And hot on their heels is Madi. Creeping in from Connector. He's certainly going to get some contact, but not the best of Nekes. A little bit of timing doesn't go his way. And so Luminosity continue to just creep and crawl into safety.
And this is when they pay for it, I suppose, the investment that the risk that they took last round. So they made it so that, you know, because they got 5 kills, they can get another set of kills here, and then everybody's broke. But now that they've kind of doubled down, they went double or nothing on this round and lost. Well, they don't have enough money to buy. They have at least got these 2 M4s to recycle, which I think is actually going to be quite interesting to see how do they play these. I don't think that they're out of the round by any means. Slap a CZ on a couple of guys, pick up 1 or 2 flashbangs. I think you're competitive for sure. But for Heroic, they're going to be aware of the saved guns. They're going to be aware that Luminosity overall going to be quite low. And Luminosity have actually decided to buy again. So it's only Lucas who actually can afford a rifle, which is not a terrible spot to be in. But man, we're cutting it close here, 12-12 in this best of 1 so far. Heroic can definitely taste victory at this point.
Both the teams sizing each other up here towards this A site. Not even close to the site, excuse me, just on this side of the map. They're so far forward here, Steel. Behind the fountain, catches one by surprise. He anticipates a peek from EC Tag, which doesn't come in. Not until the flash goes over. Had a great reposition from Steel. Did just give him a second chance, although he doesn't make the most of it.
Absolutely unanswered trade. No one prepared to go out and swing on that player, and Steel was all alone, as you typically are as a person who pushes fountain.
Good positioning from EC Tag. Good trade from Henny. One better. Keeps them in a double-man advantage. And it keeps Heroic so far at bay. 45 seconds left to play, and they're going to have to retrieve bomb. Mertz moving along towards Maudie. And sure enough, he's towards B.
Ready to go. Who is his opponent? Our number 7 man, Nekes, who is... Oh, it's actually Lucas who's back here, too, in the site. Pretty dedicated, and, you know, the more angles Maudie clears without seeing anything, the more worried he's going to get.
He's going to find Lucas on this angle. It gives it away, and now the only way that Nekes can contest this bomb site is by peeking the ramp, but oh no! A blade in hand. And Mertz in a clutch, gets the first one, anticipates this kill, and he nails him through the wall. Yell's got 10 seconds, or Mertz rather, excuse me, and he's gonna just try to just play the plan. He's got it. Now he's just gonna be fighting for his life. A caged beast with a missed no-scope. A second one lands, and Mertz, oh no!
No way!
Got it! He's got it!
Oh my god!
Mertz with a heroic play towards the B site. He takes the place of Maudie, just sneaks in with a plant, and then robs in a 1v2.
The title of this clip is Watches Smooyo Once.
And makes it look so easy. Nice, fast scope and shot right after the fact. Again, in those kinds of moments, his aim is so crisp. Like, that's one of those high-pressure situations where I think it goes one of two ways. He either shits the bed and does nothing, or we get a clip like that. So sick to see. I love those kinds of close-range op players. When they pull off those kinds of clips, Mohan, I'm standing.
I wouldn't. Yeah, are you standing up right now? Mentally, of course. Yeah, I wouldn't want it any other way. I mean, the fact that he's so explosive makes it so amazing to watch. And we have we had attack pause called by Heroic to try to ice the kicker in this situation, as I think. It was actually their own player that made that happen, but maybe just to reset and relax and just think seriously about how to take this round, because they know that Luminosity have bought 3 rounds in a row so far. They lost them all, and that round was close. There's definitely a chance Luminosity are going to try to invest, and they actually did. So this is big. They've actually waited, and I would assume that Nekes was going to decide to sit on against the wall, but he's kind of creeped out a little bit. So he went over the top of the angle to invite them in to B without having to clear it. But at this point, it's not going to actually reward them with anything. Again, Luminosity have just invested here in round 26.
Again, we've seen some pretty aggressive buy patterns from them. We've also seen them make this magic work. So don't write them off just yet. Although, obviously, very much outgunned. And they'll be pressured off of long A, so I do like that they're not trying to force a man advantage. They realize that sure enough, they can give up map control and still contest within the bomb sites. That range of lethality off the pistols, that's what they want to work with. Although, Henny on a scout, does not have an upgraded sidearm, so he's going to have to keep up that P-shooter. Surely he doesn't try to fight with his P2K. Oh man, 25 seconds left on the clock. There's pressures on both sides of the map, but it is going to in fact be B. Nekiz does stop the first one. Mertz looks to punish this, but Steel has one of two guns. And with 15 seconds, if they go by, he could deny a plant and the round. The kills do go his way. And an upgrade into the AWP could just allow him to sit on bomb. The goose egg pays off, and Luminosity rock back with another round.
We were in the elevator with Dazzle going downstairs to come to the venue, and we hadn't seen his match and asked, you know, how did it go? And he said, we didn't really show up for that game. We got ecoed 3 times. So far in this half, Luminosity have ecoed them twice.
Nice.
And at critical moments, no less. That crossfire they had along A to stop them from coming into the site, that was an anti-eco that should have been an easy round for Heroic. And now this entry into B that falls flat on its face and allows Luminosity to now be completely back into this match. It's unclear what happens now. Winning ecos is great, but if as soon as you get guns, it all falls apart. It's not going to matter too much. I like how Henny's hat says Minimo 4K. is that the name of a Twitch clip?
Maybe.
Out there.
Has Minimo gotten 4Ks?
I assume he must.
He's better than me.
He's kind of a gamer, to be honest.
He is? A prodigy. So Heroic, equipped with barely anything. Just a couple of upgraded pistols. Sure, they've got a deagle on Maudie. Hey, let's keep it simple, stupid. Straight up A-rush, 5 pistol arrows, gunning their way towards the site. Yell now getting wind of this. You see him spot the targets, and he's going to put the scope up. He's going to drop a Cillian, missing a second shot and calling for the reinforcements to come upwards. But look at the footing Heroic have. They're in the bomb site, just not in possession of bomb. And it goes wrong. Mertz, the last off of Long, falls. As, of course, Luminosity arrive. As expected, I mean, you might not be inside of the site. You may have snuck the plant down, but once those M4s come into the equation, it's all too easy.
Yeah, that's why jump spotting is so nice, just because calling for that rotates nice and early means that as an operator, you don't have to put yourself in the chaos. You don't have to like stay out there for too long, take one shot, fall back, and that was just enough. So now Luminosity have a lead. I didn't think I'd see this after those last few 4-subs that Heroic won versus in a row. And now Heroic here have a significant disadvantage in terms of utility. Maudie has nothing to work with as the tag is down to just a smoke and his britches. And it's Luminosity who can delay for time much better than Heroic can play for map control.
See, this is when that lack of forward positioning on an A site could come back to bite you, because Yell's not going to get the info early on. They're even closer this time around. A very similar situation as to what happened in the previous, except for now you're talking a fully equipped Heroic, but there's a gap in the smoke. Oh, and a fantastic grenade bounces back into the face of Freiberg, and Cillian takes each of them for plus 50 HP. Regardless, it's a 5v5 retake attempt. 2 ops in the equation for Luminosity, and all 5 CTs coming in off of either bank or dumpster. The utility that Heroic have burned half of the time off the clock. We still saw Luminosity try and rock a retake in this similar situation. It is so low, so improbable, but still possible. They are running forward into this. I mean, someone has to get on the bomb right here, right now. I don't even think there's enough time, but there is a player on the defuse. They've got it. They've actually got it.
Unreal. Wow, the confidence they had in themselves in that retake to let it come so close. And not only that, I played almost nobody in this site for direct contact right away. They just did all of their early nade damage. Lucas here spams as the Molotov comes onto the truck, and then knowing that a player will typically push off to the close left, and 4 kills grace the kill feed within moments.
Having seen now that replay, I understand how it happens. And the reason is Lucas. 3 kills in that retake attempt. The first one that gets it all kick-started through smoke. Then he finds Mertz, who is in that anchored position, and then he covers the defuse by going one even further. They literally took that down to the last second, and they managed to secure map point because of it. Of course, they have 2 opportunities here for Heroic to bounce back and force OT. Had a lot of overtimes in Counter-Strike today. Let's see if we get ourselves one more. I'm all for it.
That's something we have in common, along with these bombers. Just a couple of dudes and bombers that like OT.
A little CS, a little overtime.
Never hurt nobody.
But again, it's going to be this A pressure late. We've got Heroic on the cusp, on the precipice.
We've got a replay, Connor.
Oh my goodness.
It's a redo.
Let's see if they can actually stop the foray into A. Luminosity could lock it down on the forefront. The rotation's going to be even longer because look at the forward positioning from Luminosity over towards that B bomb site. They're over towards barrels, over on Monster. Fantastic flash blinds both. And this site's about to crumble. Yell unsuspectingly falls to EC Tag. He has no clue what hits him. Easy bomb plant, not an easy retake. Especially when you've got Madi hiding in the shadows. Living in the corners.
Down in the doldrums. One flash, Connor, one flash.
That's all it takes.
Professional team sitting in the site, right? Just had a fantastic retake that takes years of experience and skill, all culminating in a match here on land with a very high pressure moment, and they're still able to pull it off. And then you have one flash the very next round that completely opens up the site, allows the opposing team to get completely back into it, having a Galil of all weapons. Take down both players holding A site. That's how good that one flash was. And there's definitely something to be learned there. I think also the one change though was that Luminosity didn't even bother having someone like Lucas sitting at Optimus in the previous round. Or Yell. I mean, Yell would have been, I think, there, but then just to fall back as soon as he spotted somebody. Yeah. So there was definitely a small change in the setup, but Heroic read it perfectly.
But at least Yell that time, or previously, was in a position to find information, whether it be jumping over the truck to spot long, whether it be jumping behind the dice box to see bathrooms. This time he's just posted on an angle. And because he's posted on that angle, he doesn't know how close the terrorists are. And when that flashbang comes in, blinding both of the defenders, they have no clue what's going on, other than the fact that they are in a bit of a pickle. Sliced and diced inside of the site, leaving us in round number 30. Double op setup coming in from Luminosity. A little lackluster on utility. A single kit for the retake if need be.
Some clearly a bit more rich than others. Nekas could have dropped a CZ or two, but did not. There's no rollover dollars into OT.
Oh my goodness, the shadow again. Steel commits to the spray down. It's an immediate exchange of frags here. Neck is also just going 1-for-1. Who's gonna get the best of them? Henny with an incredible no-scope now knows there's more presence here. 2 Ts left. Bomb down, not planted, but Freiburg starts to come in and Mertz the same. It falls onto Yell. We're staring OT in the face right now. Unless the secondary opper can get some work done. 23 frags for him. The wallbang not going to be tried here towards the site itself. He knows, though. He knows Mertz is in there. And he's waiting. Doesn't want to scope. He's caught. Misses the flick. The peek from Mertz and Freiburg's good. And we are going further than the distance.
I thought when Henny hit that no scope, it was all wrapped up. No chance, but Mertz was so aware of the fact that he was going to come through short, try to push into the tunnel. Got to give him credit there on that B execute. It was fearsome. It was fast. There was great trades from Heroic, and they definitely earned their place here in overtime in this best of one. Everyone's got to put on their thinking caps. They really did throw a lot out there strategically. Both sides, there was definitely some very telling setups. I feel like they were reading their opponents. They were doing things that were specifically read-based, and now they've got to reinvent themselves. I feel like neither of these teams want to. Well, obviously, no one wants to be an OT, but neither were prepared.
Whoa, this is really fast. They're pushing that short control straight down the throats of Luminosity, but it's Nekas and Steel to pick up the kills. Even though Heroic go on such a rapid expedition and establish this setup, the boost, they're not going to get anything for it. Bomb, of course, has crept its way out Monster, and because of this Molotov, they have Henny so isolated, so pinned in, that they could plant for free. I mean, money and an after plant is something. A 3v5 is possible. It's improbable, but they can do it. Nekas Gonna make it look a little harder. And now it all falls on Freiburg. Years of experience. But 100 health, the difference. There he goes. Yell cleans him up, and even though Heroic do get this B-site plant for absolutely free, they of course get nothing more. Nice aggression from Luminosity towards the A portion of the map in order to get themselves what they wanted. Early kills. If you force the fight, you either go down to a 3v5 or you take it for yourself.
Yeah, it's pick your poison. And now they, at least with that money, will be able to, if it does come down to another loss, they still might be able to buy, at least in the last round, which will affect Luminosity for sure. Considering that normally that would be a force up, so could be an important plant. Yep, takes the opening peek, and Mertz is actually crossed over into the loving arms of Henny. Henny not prepared, however, and wanted to push long, but didn't expect, I think, to meet an op that early on.
I mean, this is the inverse as to what could have happened in the previous round. You still have the boost over towards short, and you have Heroic establishing a man advantage thanks to the aggression of Luminosity. The only difference being last time we saw 2 LG kills, and this time we see an LG death. Basilian sees the sliver. Lucas has crept by. I mean, he could theoretically just go straight through that smoke. Nobody other than the man who is boosting is watching this. Lucas has nobody else here to help. You can see the CTs trying to get into position, but oh my God, he could strike down the totem pole, kick it out from beneath, take it down at the knees. And while they know that there's somebody up close, they anticipate him there, doesn't matter. They win the duel. That's what's most crucial. Neka's gonna try to do the same as he does get the second slain, a third. That headshot somehow hit. And now Yell's in a prime position to skewer the plant, and if he can stop it, that's great. Or, this is still fantastic. They've got him pinned into the smoke, and the deagle's not enough. Look at him go. Luminosity, 17 points. And the last time we saw these teams at a DreamHack in a best-of-3 series, they had an OT map. Do you know who picked it up, Mohan?
I'm going to go with Luminosity. Wow, and just by the skin of their teeth. I know that was a nice flick from Yell, who decided to swing as wide as possible, and Neka's on the last bullet he was offered up. Was able to connect with the headshot.
That's the thing. Connects with the headshot.
With the headshot. That's a prayer hands emoji if I've ever seen it.
My goodness. Nobody really committing or believing in the comeback here at OT. The GG bet odds tell the tale as to what could be a sweep in overtime. There are still chances for Heroic. Remember, they were the ones that pushed it into the past regulation. They are trying to enjoy the fruits of their labor, but currently have a sour taste in their mouths. The pineapples weren't ripe.
Got a warhead. Ugh. They're sucking down.
Oh man, you can see this. I love this. When Luminosity don't feel any pressure, they're always the team that seems to make that first move. They are the ones that go on to the foray, the forefront, the front lines. Oh no, it's been punished though. EC Tag catches Steel with his head turned, so we are still gonna be 2v4. That's 2 times the man advantage. Luminosity still looking good in the final round of their CT side in overtime. If LG pick up this round, Launders, it is double OT or a Brazilian win.
Only time will tell. And they can be patient if they want to, but it would be really stupid of Luminosity to give them an inch at this point. They've got enough people to go 1-for-1 and win. And now Henny, watching his back, has also got it up on the other side of town to steal that kill from him, leaving just half a tag to go for a peek, creeping right to the angle, but suffers to the re-peek of Henny.
Yo, he jumps across facing a double op setup,
and
they both hit him.
Easy.
They both hit him.
Did they actually?
Both. It is an assist from Henny and a kill from Yell.
Just fished. My goodness.
Plucked from the sky, pulled from the air, and now facing what is defeat. Heroic will have to have themselves a flawless CT side, as their counterparts have just had. Where do you put your eggs? Which basket?
Whatever basket has blue eyes in it.
The Luminosity one.
The Luminosity basket.
Alrighty.
That's right.
gonna take a little breather, a little pause. Heroic, they definitely need to recompose before they face the T side of Luminosity. Remember, Heroic, they gave away 6 T rounds to LG, half of which came in the final 3 rounds of the regulation half. So before those final 3 rounds, they did a fantastic job. They had themselves a 9-3 lead. It was looking hot and heavy. A little saucy.
It's getting romantic a little bit.
We are in Montreal.
We are in Montreal, the Canadian city of love.
The Paris of North America.
And all is clear so far, but we've seen this before. Patience from Heroic, and I did hype up their CT side. It wasn't as dominant as it could have been, but I had a lot of great things to say about it. There was definitely just a lot of highlights in the way that they played it. As for Luminosity, didn't shy away from a fight, which was good too. But past this point in the round, 50-second mark, no kills, couldn't get into a site. This is when it always got ugly for Luminosity. Maybe there's a chance here.
I love the contrast here in terms of A-site defense. Think of the way that Luminosity used that aggression, consistently fighting towards playground over and over. And then look at the way Heroic do it. They sit back on safer angles. They try to play these off positions. They welcome Luminosity in. And because they are welcomed, they get all the info that Bathroom seems clear. They're going to rotate down towards B and try to get the best of the defenders, but Freiburg says nay. And he just slams Lucas back, snaps his neck. And now as he swaps to the 5-7, the banana in hand, it's him and Madi and Easy Tag that are getting the job done. An absolute denial in the last few waning seconds. Luminosity will not close it in a flawless OT, but they will still have 2 chances.
Heads up play by Freiburg in the closing moments of that round. Steel going down. It's a nice consolation prize to tack on to the actual round win that they got. It was a nice heads up. I mean, it was a heads up play by Freiburg. His teammate who was in the crossfire was already red HP. Freiburg, if he didn't throw that flash and then actually jump over to the other side of Monster, probably would have just got sprayed down by a blind player. And then from there was able to stay alive long enough that it made it difficult for Luminosity to want to creep in. He also drew attention so that his teammate who was low HP could hit the spray down through the smoke.
Mercs anticipates some grenades, turns his head, and as he whips it back, he snaps Yell to the ground. He could very well cover his extraction with that smoke. He does get it across despite obviously having a gap. Oh, I was wondering if he'd linger around and try to work that for a second pick, but why? You've got the 5v4. You desperately need to close out these CT rounds. So he'll attempt to duel from the bomb site itself, and he gets a sliver, a smidgen of an angle onto Henny. That's all he needs, Monders. 5v3.
2 Oppers that don't like playing passively, and we see how wide Mertz goes. Typically, you don't see an Opper go that wide on long to seek out another one opping from back there. It's just an uncommon fight in general. I think Henny might have been taken aback in that situation, and it looks like Heroic are checking all the boxes here in this round. 2 kills up, a lot of time not much time for Luminosity to make a decision, and a lot of info on where they just were, last spotted.
Oh man, this is going to be one hell of a burst. They're going to try to blast past Easy Tag.
Oh.
Won't be too simple. He is completely blinded, but so his neck is clearly. We see the gun flash come in. Oh no, Mertz up close with the sniper rifle. Misses the first chance at a shot. Still, it's a 2v4, and oh, Mertz! So good in those kinds of high-pressure situations. Sometimes you see him flub them, but today, he's come to play.
Today's not one of those days.
Nope, not at all. Really good stuff there. Obviously a 3v5 that should have gone the way of Heroic, thanks to Mertz's initial picks. He plucks 2 off before they are forced to show their hand, and then he ends it with a couple style points.
Oh, one of the best. When you have a great spawn for your Opper, you can actually just go play 4B at the beginning of the round. The only thing Mertz has to be worried about is a stairs play. But here you also have people getting information either on short or jumping up like right there. And now Luminosity, it's clear that what they want to try to do. So much damage dealt early on. Very dangerous waters here for Luminosity. Earned a 3-0 half, and it might all be for naught. Already down almost 150 HP. The round hasn't even started yet, Connor.
Oh, and Mertz just sideswipes Lucas. He was unsuspecting, never saw it coming. And now they are painted into such a terrible position. Luminosity, they know there's a guy trying to snap him back from behind. They know that this B site's got to be stacked because of Mertz's information. So what do? They've got a minute to try and bail themselves out. And they could retreat through T-spawn. Mertz, aware of that, has decided to give up the connector stairs. So there will not be that immediate flank, although there is still a man advantage and a health advantage on top of it. We see the utility coming in. We see the pressure, consistent, but also kind of passive. Luminosity aren't throwing themselves in just yet, but with this flurry of grenades, they should have to commit. 30 seconds left on the clock as they are starting to try and test the waters. But finally, they'll find some entrance because the bomb's been chucked over. Neck is going to definitely prioritize plant, and in doing so, the retake is on. Heroic will not have much utility to actually make this happen. A flash on Mertz has now been thrown out, but he blinds Maudie, and EC Tag dies in that very same moment. So now the pressure is certainly sinking in. The teeth of Luminosity piercing the skin, and it is the 1v2. Astillion yet again. He's got it down to only Henny, who has a safe after plant, but Astillion's going to try to pressure it with a tap of the bomb, and Henny comes round for the win. LG closing it in overtime. They took it the distance, Heroic, but that doesn't matter.
They came so close, and even in that very last round, you know that they're definitely excited because it seemed like there was no chance they were going to win. But they made it happen, and the W's a W. Best of 1.
Yeah, exactly. And now, as well, of course, the way the tables have turned. The turns table.
The
in the
turntables.
sense that Luminosity actually managed to pick up the opening best of 1. The last time we saw these two teams confront one another at DreamHack Valencia just a couple of months ago, it was Heroic that got the best of them first, and then LG revenge in a BO3. But we'll have to see if it goes the other way around.
First man back on LAN in 18 games.
Yeah, beautiful
Started
stuff.
off with a win.
But you've heard enough from us. Let's throw this one back to Stunna and the boys on the desk.
Yes, thank you very much, guys. They have ran this one the full course, the full distance, and they were able to close it out there. And what would not be considered a convincing fashion is this one was tit for tat, a pretty good little battle right back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't start out that way. Like, I thought Heroic was going to run away with it. You know, Tag has continued to have really good form, which has been like a new thing for him. I think he struggled when he first joined the team, but he's been really important since Nico's departure. And then Mertz was making some really good plays throughout that as well. It felt, though, like once the money finally got back in order, like Henny started to take over the game on the T side, the AWP, started getting them rounds. And then, even more important, when we flipped sides, I think Henny continued his form with the AWP. And more importantly, Yale got a second op, because this team likes to emphasize double op setups, because Yale doesn't seem to feel comfortable any other way, but on T side you can't really do double op very often. So when he could get the second op on CT side, I felt like he got in his own element a little bit more, especially because he got to play towards the A bomb side a lot, and he actually takes his op towards B a lot more these days, or at least on this iteration of the team when they're doing double op. So I feel like he got more in his element where he could be more useful, and he wound up topping the charts for his team throughout that game, actually, statistically. So I think that was important to get him that second op in the second half.
So honestly, I'm not really sure what to make of this because I'm torn between neither team looked good and both look pretty good. Like, I'm not really sure. The game wound up being so close, you can't really say like, oh, well, you know, there was this one thing that cost them. It was kind of back and forth the whole game, you know, excluding Heroic's early lead. I'd say a fair bit of mistakes from both sides. At the same time, like, without Mertz's op clutch, I think Luminosity win without overtime. And that's, you know, this clutch, like, this doesn't happen 98 times out of 100 at the very least. So, you know, they got lucky with that one. With that being said, like, this is another retake that we're seeing now that Luminosity no way should have won with how little time they left for themselves till the end, but wound up working out nonetheless. And man, Freiburg had a rough game.
It was a rough one for the King of Bananas. And, well, for what it's worth, here are the numbers. This is what it looks like across the board. And, you know, I think there was even one of those situations where we could say, like, a player like Astillion, you know, you see 23-23, then 61 ADR, but there were rounds where he stuck out too, and he more than did his part.
Yeah, I mean, he's been doing pretty well as a fragger in in-game leader terms, at least. Like, when you put that filter in, I think he contributes pretty well for this team, and he did well enough for them to get them in a position to win this game. I just think, like, obviously in a game where you lose like 19-17, it comes down to just like a couple little micro moments that go wrong, a couple of little mistakes, a little bit of mishandling of the economy can have exponential impact when it's that close of a game, and just unfortunately for Heroic, they're on the losing side of that.
Let's take a minute here and catch a few words from Zach, the coach of of Luminosity, actually standing by, my friend.
Hello, how are you guys?
Not bad, and seemingly you guys aren't doing too bad yourself. That one was a little close, huh?
Yeah, very close actually. It was not a good game by. I heard you guys saying, I don't know if you got both teams are looking good or neither are looking good. I think neither actually. It was very bad by both of us.
It's rough all around the edges. You guys have any questions for Zach?
Yeah, I do. So when you guys play the CT side and you're able to run a double op setup, you can definitely tell that you can make that work because you have two really capable primary operas in Yell and Henny. But it feels like on the terrorist side, because Henny's now on the team as a primary opper, that Yell gets put in positions that he's probably never had to play before, and it can probably be a little bit unnerving. How are you guys working with that to try to get him to still be able to produce for you guys on the terrorist side?
Well, Yell is not familiar on what to do as a AK and assault, you know. So he still have to practice a lot, but that's his choice. It's not something that we asked for him. He chose to play more with AK on T side, and he's still learning what to do and watching a lot of demos. So it's gonna take some time.
How did you come back from Merch's clutch on the B side towards the end of regulation? Because that seemed like one of those rounds that might just, you know, kind of kill whatever momentum the team has going for it at that point.
They were very smart because they paused after that clutch, and our team obviously start to argue. And I said, guys, you're doing exactly what they want. Like, they want us to argue after that because it was super bad. And they all come down very quick. That was very good. After arguing for like 10 seconds, they start to say, okay, that never gonna happen again. So let's just focus on our game and try to win this.
So now they got the first win under the way. What's actually your realistic expectation or goal for this event? Obviously, you know, you guys haven't had that much experience with this rosters yet. So what do you think you actually are aiming for here?
I would be happy if we got to top 5 because we were on our break now. Everybody was in vacation, so neither of us were playing a lot of Counter-Strike. We just played some tournaments in Brazil, and the level was way better than I expected, to be honest, but it's not even close to the level here. So if we get top 5, I'm going to be very happy.
Well, you do have aspirations. You do have to look forward, but of course, winning your opening match does help. And speaking of that Brazilian crowd, anything you'd like to say to them watching at home?
I know that Major is going out now, so I want to thank everyone that is watching us, watching this event, because it's super good. The production is very good. The level is not the same as the Major, but we're going to be there, so it's good to watch the history, because the next one we're going to be there.
That's what I like to hear. Positivity from Zach, my man. I'll catch you later doing what we do around the hotel late at night. But anyway, let's move forward. Guys, we got our first winners match coming up. It's going to be Ints and Red Reserve, and that is exactly where we're going to be going, but not before a break. You guys have anything you want to say before we get there?
I'm really just wondering what it is you do at the hotel late
Smoked
at night.
meat, of course.
Got me intrigued here.
Smoked meat.
Yeah, smoked meat.
Smoked meat every day. And with that, of course, we can go ahead and go to a break. When we come back, we're jumping in our first winners match. And like I said, it's Ints versus Red Reserve. You don't want to miss it. See you there.